You've been invited to a house party. While you're there, you notice that the male occupant of the house has been spending all of his time with a specific female. Throughout the course of the night, every time the female's cup is empty, the male ensures that it is filled again. Toward the end of the night, the female, obviously drunk, is led upstairs by the male into his bedroom. The first question is a sexual assault imminent?
I don't know if I could very objectively say a sexual assault was imminent. Though I don't think that alleviates the issue.
Okay.
Or I don't think it removes the problem of there being a possible problem, given the current context. Though, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. Like, without knowing their motives or anything about them, my initial most honest response would be that somebody's feeding somebody drinks of seemingly where there might be some sort of sexual attraction. This tends to be a context of many sexual assault scenarios, and that, I mean, I guess I would just say that a sexual assault is very possibly imminent. That there's a problem.
So then the next question, would you intervene in this situation? And if so, how? It's really hard to say whether I would intervene, because I've never been in a situation where I guess maybe I have been in a situation like this, but I would not give myself any sort of credence now and say, yes, I would be a hero, no matter what. Because I think there's a very distinct possibility that I would be there and I would be confronted with some sort of choice paralysis on making a moral claim on behalf of other people. Though in this particular situation, I feel as though there's some sort of middle ground that we can exist on, where we can make some sort of grave assumption about what's going on. So I would like to intervene. I would like to think I would, and I would like to be more confident in my ability to do that. Whereas at this moment, I honestly don't feel as confident as I would like to intervene in that very specific scenario. Okay, next question. How could you intervene in this situation?
One approach that I might take would be to attempt to have a side conversation with the male, or attempt to establish some sort of baseline moral judgment of this character somehow, like maybe going upstairs before they've entered the room and somehow creating a conversation with him that is not accusatory, but that is very clearly directed at the safety of the individuals at the party, specifically the woman he is leading into his bedroom. And I think that would be the most separated reaction, or the most the safest reaction from somebody who might be in a position of confusion about what to do. Because upon having this conversation, if anything else began to make sense or began to click that something more coercive was taking place, my direct action would be shifted from accounting for his feelings to protecting protecting the girl, like trying to remove her from the situation with any means possible.
Okay. Well, then, last question is, why do you choose to react the way you do?
Well, at first, with the initial reaction of trying to talk with the guy about what's going on, I feel like I might begin there because when such coercive nature as this might be unfolding, I feel as though my approach to it needs to be kind of directed in a sense that keeps in mind safety, mainly the safety of the female. And the safety of the female might furthermore be put at ends with my goals if I approach the male with some sort of aggression or accusatory tone. And, he might just be like, well, screw you, kick me out of his house, or call the cops on me or something outlandish, and then proceed to do whatever he was going to do. Or he might, have his buddies come upstairs and remove me or something, incapacitate me if he feels I'm a threat. So my initial kind of soft response would be initially in hopes that it gives me a longer time frame to figure out what's going on, or a longer time frame to convince him otherwise, or to convince him to do otherwise, by creating this sort of a pseudo-safe place for him to express himself before any sort of more direct action is taking place. But if I were to go the other route based off of my accumulation of knowledge about the situation and like try and physically remove her from a dangerous situation, I guess the reasons more fundamental to me why I would do that would be just my experiences with seeing individuals in situations in which they are scared, maybe for their life or for their own sovereignty. And it's perhaps like the most terrifying way to see somebody as like being completely helpless. And in those situations, I was far too young, and I felt far too helpless to do anything, that I felt restrained to be neutral, even though, like, looking back, I feel like, in these situations that, like, I could have done something, but, like, my life would have seemingly at the time been definitely at risk. And mainly, I don't feel good about making that decision, even though it might have been, like, the appropriate decision to make based off of who was in trouble, like, be it my sister or my mother, they were in trouble because of an abusive stepfather, and I did nothing about it. I don't feel good about making that decision at all. Even though it might be argued that I was in a helpless position. Like, I still don't feel like anything's entirely helpless, even if it means your life. And it might be worth it. It should be worth it if you're considering the sanctity of the other individuals.
Well, as a refining question on that, your first answer was on would you intervene in the situation was you don't know, based on partially on possibility of choice paralysis. So where's the difference come between I don't know, and I could talk to the guy.
Um, well, I think that's me without being. So I have the privilege in this moment of not being in the situation, so I don't have any sort of like any pressure to make a decision immediately. So I feel like that alleviates some sort of paralysis for me right now, and that maybe by practicing this, it will alleviate that pressure in the situation in the future. Um, And so I think mainly the choice paralysis is me like really putting myself in the situation, seeing him lead her up the stairs, and immediately my head's turning with, formulating what is happening and what are the consequences of that, and essentially deciding that I am playing a part in this. And then the next thought is, um, you know, am I going to pretend I'm not, or am I going to acknowledge that I am and actually do something? Because in the given situation, like if it's a house party, I very likely might be inebriated myself and be working under conditions that aren't ideal for this situation, which I also think is still no excuse for any sort of negative behavior. Um, so I think that the choice, leaving paralysis to initiating a conversation with the male in question, would hopefully come from a split second thought of, this is really a really strange situation to be in. I'm not sure what my role is, but I feel like there has to be a role, and I can't be neutral on this sort of moving train, And like, ultimately, I don't want to be neutral.